Welcome to the channel, to my review of Codex Space Marines. This is up for pre-order on the 5th of August and is released on the 12th of August. And a slight disclaimer, I'm not very knowledgeable about Codex Chaos Space Marines or Chaos Space Marines at all. I got this book, I never cracked it open. This is the first time I've opened Index Chaos. So normally in my reviews I'm quite knowledgeable, relatively knowledgeable about the army itself. I don't tend to do reviews of armies that I'm unfamiliar with. However, Games Workshop were generous enough to send me a copy for pre-order, and I know there's a lot of people out there who are very interested in what's inside this book, so we're going to flip through it. I've flipped through it already and had a quick read, but I don't understand half the stuff, so we're going to dive in this together, explore this together. I'm probably going to miss stuff that you really want to see, but this is a sneak peek of what's inside this book, so let's dive in. So, starting off, the usual introduction and all the narrative. I did have a good read of some sections of the narrative. I was particularly interested in some of the Alpha Legion stuff. Being a big Horus Heresy junkie, and here we have the Horus Heresy, read all of this stuff as well. It's nice to read this and how it ties in with the narrative that we are all familiar with back in the day. And whether the Alpha Legion are still Chaos, or because back at the time of the Horus Heresy, the question is out. It's a question still. In here, though, they're very clear that Alpha Legion are Chaos, that they eventually do turn to Chaos once you turn from the Emperor's light, regardless of whatever your cause is, whatever your reason is from turning in the first place. And the Alpha Legion may have been pure. They're certainly not now. We have Black Legion and Black Legion warbands. You don't have to paint all your models black. We have the Cicadrix Maledictum and the Galaxy map from the point of view from the Chaos Space Marines. Nice bit of narrative about Imperium Nihilus, the bit that is blocked out from the Emperor's light up here. I guess this part of the galaxy is pretty much how the galaxy was during the Age of Strife, when there was no Astronomicon, where people were split up and divided. This is basically like old night itself has returned. And then we have more and more narrative, and the narrative is expertly written, as you come to imagine. Read all of this, very interesting stuff. When you dip through these legions, because there's legion-specific rules in here, I like the fact that the Alpha Legion is nice and bright, and you can see it all nice and clearly. The Iron Warriors, another very popular chapter, particularly like Mini Wargamer Steve's Iron Warrior Force. It's very good. And then you get to the Night Lords, and it's black, because the Night Lords should be dark, with a bit about Kurz, the Night Haunter himself. Foreseeing his own doom. Potentially, he might be dead. But yeah, that's a nice touch when he goes black for the Night Lords. And a narrative, of course, on the Word Bearers and all the first founding chapters, except for the Death Guard and except for the Thousand Suns. They're not in here because we know the next codex coming out after Grey Knights, Chaos Space Marines and Space Marines is Death Guard. They are getting their own codex. And so will Thousand Suns be getting their own codex. I imagine as the narrative carries on through the world of 40k, as 8th edition continues to expand, we're going to see Iron Warriors getting their own codex. We're going to see a lot of new factions getting their own codex. I imagine the Yanari, and they're churning out a lot of codexes very quickly, is what I'm trying to say. This is an awesome picture. They're churning out a lot of codexes very quickly. So expect to see codexes for armies that never had codexes before. Like Death Guard. Death Guard never had a codex before, but they're getting one soon. And I am slowly but surely building up my Death Guard force and roll from 30k plus 40k. Check out Google 30k plus 40k blogspot. Very popular blogspot, gets thousands of visitors a day, every day. His painting is spectacular. Golden Demon entrant. He's got a number of pins, and I've commissioned a Golden Demon guy to do my Death Guard army. So it should be, well, I've seen some of the pictures, it's going to be gorgeous when it's done. So here we are to the unit entries. Demon Princes, Chaos Lords, Sorcerers, Exalted Champions. And I can't see any new models for Chaos Space Marines in this book. It looks like all the old range is as stands, so if you want brand new Chaos Space Marines, then you're going to have to go to Death Guard or Thousand Suns. In the future, if they bring out chapter-specific stuff for Alpha Legion, for Black Legion, I fully expect them to release new models for those first Legion chapters. Chapters are they? Legions? I expect to see them in the future. The other interesting thing about this book as well, though, is they have introduced a sprinkling of nearly new models. There are demons in here, and you can take them as troop slots, Hellbrutes, Lord of Skulls, demons. I think we're getting there. Khan the Betrayer. If you haven't read Betrayer, the Horus Heresy book, then you should read it. Read No Fear, the Horus Heresy book about the attack on Kauth. Then read Khan the Betrayer, and then read Vulcan, and then read The Unremembered Empire. Those 4 books all tie into each other and culminate in Unremembered Empire. 4 Primarchs fighting it out in Ultramar. It's fantastic, but Betrayer is one of the best books in the Horus Heresy series, written by Aaron Dembski-Bowden, one of his probably his greatest book. Rubric Marines and Plague Marines, they touch on Huron Bakar, Fabius Bile, the Fallen, and Cypher. So they do mention that some fall in the Chaos and some of them are not. Complicated backstory of the Dark Angels there. In Cypher, they are as vague as they have always been with Cypher. Read this through. Love Cypher. Great model, great story, backstory. Is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Almost got right before the Emperor's throne during the Fall of Cadia series. He travelled all the way across from a crag back to the Imperium. Well, not from a crag. He travelled. Gulliman left Macragge and got sucked into the warp during the Fall of Cadia books. And then Cypher met him on the way and helped him get to the Emperor's palace. Abaddon the Despoiler. And then we have demons in the Chaos Space Marine books. There's only 4, 1 for each Chaos God. So here we have Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, and the other one, Slaanesh, the god of death, as the Eldar call them. The Yinkan, who will eat their souls. Of course, the Eldar, being silly and being Eldar, think that the Yinkan and the god of death is not Slaanesh. But all of us who are not Eldar know that the Eldar are just fooling themselves. Here we have some nice heavy metal picks, and as you look through here, you come to realise that there are no new models that I can see anyway for the Forces of Chaos, but there are certainly new rules for them. And being able to bring along demons in the troop slots, I think, is going to definitely be a thing. I guess a lot of Chaos Space Marine players allied with demons to begin with, particularly if you're playing narratively, not competitively, but particularly if you're playing narratively, it wasn't unusual to see a unit of this here and a unit of Plague Bearers in particular holding down an objective there. And now they can share the same keywords, and they can share the troop slot from this book. Yeah, cracking on. And then we come to the Slaves of Darkness and the beginning of the rules sections. So what's new here? Well, you have the normal keywords, that's standard. You have Marks of Chaos here, and there's no +1 toughness for Nurgle. There's no Khorne thing, I think it was +1 attack. You just pick a Mark of Chaos to units that can have a mark and give them a mark. And the mark doesn't come into effect until you get to the Psychic powers. And here are the Psychic powers. The way it works is if you've got a Mark of Chaos Psyker, then you can swap out one of the powers it knows for its equivalent Mark of Chaos. So if you have a Psyker that knows 2 Psychic powers, you can pick 1 Psychic power from here, and if it was of Tzeentch, then it would get Weaver of Fates, which will allow it to throw out a 5-up invulnerable save. It can only throw it out onto a model that has a Tzeentch Heretic Astartes thing. It gives them 5-up invulnerable save on your Land Raider, for example, or improve an invulnerable save by 1, so your Terminators can go up to a 4-up invulnerable save, for example. And Abaddon has all the marks, I guess, so he can go up to a 3-up invulnerable save. Let's check Abaddon. Here's Abaddon, Nurgle, Slaanesh, Tzeentch, Khorne. He has all the faction keywords. You can give him, he comes with a 4-up invuln, give him a 3-up invuln if you want. Also, when you got Abaddon, the interesting thing is you get +2 additional command points when you bring Abaddon. That's a change from this book here. I know this because I've faced Abaddon twice now in 8th edition, and he didn't have that before, so that's one of the rules that I do know. Anyway, back to the psychic powers. Mark of Nurgle is -1 to hit anything. So again, chuck out the psychic power on something, -1 to hit them. And Slaanesh, keep forgetting her name, or his name, is a 5-up, feel no pain. So 5-up, feel no pain, -1 to hit, and +1 invuln, or it give you something, an invulnerable save of 5-up. Each of these are warp charge 6s, and I think all of them are good. All of them are very good. -1 to hit and something, or invulnerable saves, or 5-up, feel no pain on your Land Raider. Talking about 5-up, feel no pain on Land Raiders, or 5-up, feel no 5-up invuln on Land Raiders, or 5-up, feel no pain on Land Raiders. I don't know why I'm talking about Land Raiders, I just know how tasty Land Raiders are. And remember beforehand, in 7th edition, if you moved your Land Raider at all, it was crappy, couldn't fire very well. But now Chaos Land Raiders have bad guy power of the machine spirit, so they can still move and fire their guns as though standing still. Anyway, 3 useful psychic powers and reasons to take marks, because I know in this book there was no real reason to take marks, again because I played against them a couple of times, but now there's a reason to take them. So while we're on psychic powers, let's just run through the new stuff. Infernal Gave, Prescience and Warp Time were in the old book, and they are unchanged as far as I can see. Then we have Death Hex, Gift of Chaos, Diabolic Strength, and Death Hex is basically warp charge value of 8. It's very high. You pick something within 12 inches. Why is it so high? Because if it passes, that unit doesn't get invulnerable saves. Gone. No Hammonators with invulnerable saves, or something very pokey, some guy with a storm shield charging towards you. No invulnerable saves. Stripping it off away from a unit of Terminators or something. Mean. Gift of Chaos, though, is even meaner. It's only warp charge 6, but you roll a dice, and if the result of the dice is higher than the target's toughness, then that unit suffers D3 plus 3 mortal wounds. You pick an enemy model, it's only 6 inches away, but D3 plus 3 mortal wounds. Got to roll higher than toughness. A Space Marine, that's a 5 or 6. Remember, you could change it, spend a command point to get a re-roll on that and kill something. 4 to 6 mortal wounds with 1 psychic power. I know the range is short, but that is mean. Diabolic Strength, not so much. It adds 2 to your model's strength characteristics and 1 to its attack. This is going to be very situational, but adding 2 to the strength of a Dread Knight or something, or adding 2 to the strength of one of your really punchy units and giving it +1 attack. Dreadnought, what did I say? Dread Knight? Wrong book. Dreadnought, having a +1 strength and +2 strength and +1 attack on a Dreadnought makes them probably wounding on 2s all the time and having 5 attacks. It's only warp charge 6. So those are the psychic powers. You've got 9. So far, this book brings the most psychic powers available to anyone, even Eldar. Because you could bring a Black Legion army with Tzeentch and Nurgle and different stuff. And basically, you're going to want to bring in a lot of sorcerers, I think. Because with the rule of 1 in match play, you can only do 1 of each psychic power every turn, unless it's Smite. But you're probably going to want to do that. And that, give that to 1 unit, and that to another unit, and Gift of Chaos someone. If you kill an enemy character with Gift of Chaos, by the way, you can get a free Chaos Spawn. Set it up before the army is removed. So yeah, nice. Anyway, let's go back to the unit entries. So here we have Death to the False Enterer, which remains unchanged, and Demonic Ritual means you can summon stuff that was in the Chaos book. The ability to summon in demons. So people can do that as well. Then we get into this lot. Now, I would love to tell you whether any of these unit entries have changed, but I don't know. The Fallen are in here, Cypher are in here. What I can see from looking through it is that there's nothing new added, as far as I can see. No new shiny models. Exalted Champions, Warpsmiths, Bloodletters, Chaos Space Marines, Chaos Cultists. Oh yeah, Bloodletters in the Chaos Space Marine book. Interesting. Chaos, Khorne, Infantry, Demon, Bloodletter. They just use the Chaos and Khorne keyword. Plague Bearers, Horrors, Demonettes. All in the troop slot. don't know whether the horrors had this big a page in the Index Chaos book. Let's have a look. Yes, they have a very big page. That's them splitting apart all over the place, isn't it? Horrors, pink horrors, blue horrors, and brimstone horrors. Really need to read these unit entries. There's so much to read. Khorne Berserkers, Rubric Marines. So Rubric Marines and Plague Marines are in here. Look at that for Plague Marines. Absolutely massive. Noise Marines. Chosen. Chaos Terminators, Mutilators, Possessed. Hellbrute, Chaos Bikers. Raptors, Chaos Spawn, Warp Talons, Chaos Landrays, Havocs, Obliterators. Not as good as they used to be. They could have been meaner. I like the fact that they got 3 wounds. I expected their guns to have more bang to them. Forge Fiends, Defilers, Mauler Fiends, Rhinos, Vindicators, Predators. Chaos Predators for the win. They're just as good as normal Predators. That Predator order can is strength 7 -1, 3 damage a pop, doing heavy 2d3. Chaos Predator Order cannon with 2 side sponsons and las cannons. Chaos tend not to have much access to a lot of ranged things. Yes, you've got Defilers and Land Raiders, but compared to the Space Marine book, I know this from years and years and years of fighting Chaos, they have less long range shooting. They don't have Thunderfire cannons, and they don't have whirlwinds, and they certainly don't have drop pods, and there's no drop pods in here. So they don't have the ability to just get straight into your lines and unleash all the weaponry they need to. They need to get up there bit by bit. So having a unit entry is what I'm trying to say, like a Chaos Predator, 2 of them in the backfield, throwing Dagger down, is exponentially stronger in a Chaos force because they don't have that access to many of these long range stuff. Havocs are still good, of course. Havocs I would bring. The Chaos Lord of Skulls being the only Lord of War here. Is Abaddon a Lord of War? Abaddon is not a Lord of War. Like Helldrakes as well, they're not hard to hit like other flyers, but they move a long way, 30 inches, and can assault after they've moved, and then fall back and still shoot because they have the fly keyword. So I think their shooting attack has been a bit nerfed. The Bell Flamer was to be feared all throughout 6th and 7th edition, but having a unit that can move 30 inches up the battlefield, hit your Land Raider, do a bit of damage to it, and then that Land Raider has to pull back or will get hit again and it can't shoot, and this thing's got a 5-up invulnerable save and is in your lines. Going up against a couple of Helldrakes, they can move so far, and it's having a couple of Helldrakes in your list is still just a thing. It's frightening to face them. A couple of times when I've faced them, I've put all my guns into them. So anything that you know that your opponent is picking on a lot, you know they're scared of, bring 2 of them. Or 3. Or if you're a tournament player, 7. Then we're in the Forbidden Armory. All the guns that they have. Look at this. 4 pages of guns. Do you remember the old days in the Chaos Space Marine book where you'd crack open the last page and there'd just be 1 line of weaponry and that's it? Not anymore. They have access to a lot more powers. I was just checking the icons here with the icons in this book. They're exactly the same except for the icon of despair. In the Index Chaos book, the icon of despair had a 3-inch range. Now it has a 6-inch range, subtracting 1 from leadership characteristics of enemy models. Nice big diorama there. I like it. Those Primaris Marines look like they're in a world of trouble. And then we're on to more rules. Okay, 3 new things. Despoilers of the Galaxy is objective secured. If there are any troop choices within range of an objective marker, they'll automatically score it, even if you've got 1 troop and there's 7 other things by that objective, you'll score it because you have Despoilers of the Galaxy, unless that other unit also has a similar rule, and then you count whoever's closest, such as Defenders of Humanity, which is the Space Marine one, or Knights of Titan, which is the equivalent rule from Codex Grey Knights. So it looks like so far in the 3 codexes that they've released, troops get objective secured. This only affects troops units, but it's a nice little ability, and for all those who play 6th and 7th edition, we know how powerful it is to always score an objective if you have troops closer to it than your enemy. It's a nice one. We've also got Shadowy Ally. Shadowy Ally says Fallen can't benefit from Legion traits And Legion traits are these ones here. So pick a Legion, the Legion that you're fighting. You'll notice that Thousand Suns and Death Guard are not here. There's no Legion traits for them. It's got traits for Black Legion, Iron Warriors, World Eaters, Night Lords, Emperor's Children, Alpha Legion, Word Bearers, and also Renegade chapters, Dark Raiders. Renegade chapters, so if you've got your own force that you want to bring along and you haven't painted it up like a First Legion, you paint it any colours, and you're not running Alpha Legion, you're not running Black Legion, because if you're like me, you want to run a Legion, you want to run a force of your own kind, then just give it the Dark Raiders Legion specific trait, because it's very good. They can advance and charge in the same turn. That's nice. Very nice. Moving forward, running and charging in the same turn. Suddenly they become very swift. Now to access your Legion traits, these will only affect infantry, bikers and hell brutes in Chaos. It won't affect rhinos and land raiders and stuff like that. And to gain a Legion trait, your army has to be battle forged, and every unit in that detachment has to be from the same Legion. Now every unit in that detachment, that means if you bring this detachment and every unit in it is from the same Legion, then you can get that trait. And if you bring this one and every unit from it is from a different Legion, then you can get that trait for that detachment. That's the way I'm reading it. So you can get multiple Legion traits if you want to. That doesn't seem very broken to me, because you can do exactly the same thing in the Codex Chaos Space Marines? Codex Space Marines. You can do the same thing in the Space Marine Codex. Have Iron Hands and Ultramarines running around together. Now, what do the Legion traits do? So the Black Legion have +1 to their leadership, and all their rapid fire weapons become assault weapons. The Iron Warriors get the bad end of the stick. They shoot, units don't gain cover if they're in cover, the benefit of being in cover, and you can reroll to wound versus buildings, which is very situational. Renegade chapters, Dark Raiders we mentioned. World Eaters, Butcher's Nails. They get 1 additional attack every time it fights. So you've got your Khorne Berserkers, which fight twice, and then getting 1 additional attack every time they fight. So +1 attack, or is it a whole fight? When a unit with this trait makes a successful charge, you can make 1 additional attack with each of its models in the subsequent fight phase. So they charge, they fight, they get an additional attack, they do it again, they've charged, so they get an additional attack. Mean as hell. Night Lords subtract 1 from enemy units that are within 6 inches. And if you've got 3 units within an enemy, then that'll be -3 up to -3 to their leadership. Again, quite situational. Emperor's Children, good one. They always fight twice. Alpha Legion, very good one. Units that are more than 12 inches away from the enemy are -1 to hit. So suddenly, Alpha Legion Devastators, Havoc, and Alpha Legion stuff in the backfield is -1 to hit. Very powerful. And Word Bearers reroll failed morale tests. So they've got And They Shall Know No Fear. I think Alpha Legion have the best one out of this lot. That's similar to the Raven Guard one. Iron Warriors is similar to the Imperial Fist one. Very interesting. Then we're on to stratagems. Just like the Space Marine Codex, you have 3 pages of these. The Grey Knights only have 2. Most of these are Legion specific. You got Flak Missile, which isn't Legion specific, and you get it in the Space Marine book as well. And in this one, Fire Frenzy allows Hellbrutes to shoot twice so long as they don't move. Forward Operatives is very powerful for the Alpha Legion. You can deploy a unit 9 inches away when you're setting it up at the beginning of the game. Imagine before the first turn begins, you've set up a unit of your Terminators, say, 9 inches away from the enemy, and you know you're going first. Then in your first turn, you can move them forward to 5, and then you're pretty much guaranteed a first turn charge with their Forward Operatives stratagem. I like it. Word Bearers can reroll the dice when summoning, don't suffer mortal wounds. Iron Within, Iron Without for the Iron Warriors gives them a 6-up, feel no pain. World Eaters, who normally don't have any ability to deny the witch, can spend a command point and essentially deny the witch on a 4-up. So you've got to spend a command point and there's a 50-50 chance of doing it anyway. Emperor's Children can attack again if they slay an enemy model, and then in the Midnight Cloud again. A very powerful one, Night Lord Stratagem, subtract 1 to hit rolls when an enemy targets that unit. So that could be in close assault, or that could be when you get targeted in the shooting attack. So again, Havoc's in the backfield or something in the backfield that you don't want to get shot at. Chuck this on there, -1 to hit them, very good. And then let the galaxy burn. When a Black Legion infantry or biker unit is selected to attack, you can reroll all failed to hit rolls of 1. And if it's a Chaos Space Marine squad, you can reroll everything. These are only 1 command point each, nice and cheap. Some of these ones are a bit more expensive, such as the one to take extra relics, just like in the Grey Knights book and the Space Marines book. Spend a point and you get +1 relic. Spend 2 points, you get +2 relics, so 3 in total, and relics are free, remember. Chaos boons are back, and you spend a command point only when your character kills a character, vehicle, or monster. So when your guys kills a character, vehicle, or monster, spend a command point. Snake Eyes and Boxcars are still Spawn Hood and Demon Hood, Spawn Doom and Demon Hood, which suck. So you might spend a command point and hurt yourself, but again, you could spend one of the command points to have a strategy to reroll one of those dice if you get something really sucky. But it's not 66 dice to different things now. There's only these good ones. You can only benefit from them once, so if you get +1 to your saving throw, or +1 toughness, or +1 to your wounds, you can only benefit from that once. You can't go +1 toughness, then +1 toughness again, then +1 toughness again. Remember, you've got to kill a character or something to get that. It's nice and narrative. Can't see people taking it very much. What I can see people taking for 1 point is Veterans with a Long War, which is Astartes infantry or biker units add 1 to their wound rolls when they're shooting. This is mean. And also in the fight phase. It's interesting that you can do it on biker units as well, because bikers have a lot of firepower with twin bolters, each of them chucking down 4 shots, and you can have your plasma guns and melt guns on there as well, and everything on there is +1 to wound, so those bolters suddenly wounding on 3s rather than 4s versus infantry. It's a bit like the Sternguard ability in the Space Marines book. This one will be used a lot, I think. 3 points for Khorne, so you can fight again. Recovering D3 wounds or letting a model stand up. This is the Apothecary ability, but you can pay command points for it instead. This one allows you to shoot again. This one allows you to do an additional psychic power. Chaos Cultist, Linebreaker Bombardment, and Kill Shot are for the Vindicator and for the Predator, allowing Vindicators to do mortal wounds if you have 3 Vindicators, allowing you to re-roll wound and damage rolls if you have 3 Predators. These are straight out of the Space Marine book as well. Demon Forge for 1 point is very good. Chuck it on a demon vehicle and you can re-roll all fail to hit and to wound rolls. We talked about Hellbrutes earlier on with an extra attack if you chuck that psychic power on them. But imagine a Forge Fiend with Lash of Tendrils. A Lash of Tendrils is D6 extra attacks, and I think Forge Fiends have 4 or 5 attacks anyway. They normally only hit on 4s, but they do a tremendous amount of damage. Chuck that on your Forge Fiend, and he's re-rolling failed to hit rolls, and re-rolling failed to wound rolls until the end of the phase. That is mean. That Forge Fiend will be piling through stuff. Chaos Familiars allow you to suddenly pick another psychic power instead. So some very interesting ones in there. I like Veterans of the Long War, increasing your wound rolls made for when you fight or when you shoot. I like the Demon Forge one, and I like -1 to hit Night Lords in the backfield. That's a very good one as well. I like the Alpha Legion being able to set up at the start of the game and then move forward and charge. There's some dirty stratagems in there that you will want to use. There's also Demon Shell. This is like the heavy bolter one from the Space Marine book. Again, one book, one command point, and you can shoot a weapon and then a bolt gun, combi bolter, something with a bolt gun profile, and it does D3 mortal wounds. So spend a command point, you've got something in front of you which has got 1 or wounds left, and it's got an invulnerable save on it, and you want to kill it. Fire that. It could be a bolt pistol in close combat. You only get 1 hit roll, but if you hit, you do mortal wounds and you kill it. Say Drago's toe to toe with one of your guys and Drago's on 1 or 2 wounds left. Chuck a demon shell in his face and see if he gets up from it. I like it. We talked about the psychic powers, and here are your relics. In the relic slot, there's 4 down here for Khorne, Tzeentch, Slaanesh, and Nurgle. Khorne you can advance and charge in the same turn. Tzeentch you can add 1 to smiting, so you'll be smiting on a 4-up instead of a 5-up. Slaanesh, add 1 to your strength and attacks. And Nurgle, you replace the power sword with this thing, which is basically a D3 damage power sword, unless it targets a vehicle. I particularly like the ability to advance and charge in the same turn, or smite on a 4-up. So these are ones you've got to have those keywords: Slaanesh, Tzeentch, Khorne, etc. And then we have these ones again, and the Axe of Blind Fury and the Black Mace and the Murder Sword are back. The Axe of Blind Fury is still absolutely mean, +3 strength, -3 AP, D3 damage. You replace an axe. Remember, if you've got a model with an axe, you can say it's got the Axe of Blind Fury for free. Or the Black Mace, you can replace a mace, a model that you've got, with a mace for free. Someone's got a power sword, give it the Murder Sword for free, +1 strength, -4 AP, instead of base strength and -3 AP. And then across here, you have some more interesting relics. These ones only work for certain legions. You need the legion keyword, so Word Bearers, Iron Warriors. Word Bearers get a nice Crozius. Alpha Legion get a chainsword. Night Lords get a pair of lightning claws with +1 strength, -3 AP, D3 damage a pop instead of 1 damage a pop. Blissgiver, which is a bolt pistol for the Emperor's Children. So these are meaner versions of weapons that you may have on your models. And then you've got the Eye of Night for Black Legion, Flesh Metal Exoskeleton, and Brass Collar of Borgaster. You can deny the Witch. This one not so good. This is once a game you could roll a dice, and on a 2-up a vehicle will suffer D3 mortal wounds. Not so great. The best one here is the Exoskeleton, the Flesh Metal Exoskeleton for the Iron Warriors, which gives them a 2-up save, and they heal a wound at the start of each of your turns. So there's your character there, just getting a wound back and a wound back and a wound back. Nice little relic. I like it. So all these boxes here are beefier versions of the weapons that you have, and the ones that are not in boxes give you free special rules that you can pick for a character. Remember, you get this stuff for free. You just pick a character in your army. It doesn't have to be your warlord. Give them a relic. If you want more than 1 relic, you have to spend a command point to get 2. And I can see the Iron Warriors taking the Flesh Metal Exoskeleton all the time. We have Warlord traits, 6 of them now. And then we have specific Warlord traits. If you're bringing the specific Legion, you have to take that Warlord trait. And if you're bringing Abaddon or Fabius or Huron, then you have to get the equivalent Warlord trait here. So Cypher can never have a Warlord trait, but these guys automatically get these ones. These ones only work for certain legions. You need the legion keyword, so Word Bearers, Iron Warriors. Word Bearers get a nice Crozius. Alpha Legion get a chainsword. Night Lords get a pair of lightning claws with +1 strength, -3 AP, D3 damage a pop instead of 1 damage a pop. Blissgiver, which is a bolt pistol for the Emperor's Children. So these are meaner versions of weapons that you may have on your models. And then you've got the Eye of Night for Black Legion, Flesh Metal Exoskeleton, and Brass Collar of Borgaster. You can deny the Witch. This one not so good. This is once a game you could roll a dice, and on a 2-up a vehicle will suffer D3 mortal wounds. Not so great. The best one here is the Exoskeleton, the Flesh Metal Exoskeleton for the Iron Warriors, which gives them a 2-up save, and they heal a wound at the start of each of your turns. So there's your character there, just getting a wound back and a wound back and a wound back. Nice little relic. I like it. So all these boxes here are beefier versions of the weapons that you have, and the ones that are not in boxes give you free special rules that you can pick for a character. Remember, you get this stuff for free. You just pick a character in your army. It doesn't have to be your warlord. Give them a relic. If you want more than 1 relic, You have to spend a command point to get 2. And I can see the Iron Warriors taking the flesh metal exoskeleton all the time. We have warlord traits, 6 of them now. And then we have specific warlord traits. If you're bringing the specific legion, you have to take that warlord trait. And if you're bringing Abaddon or Fabius or Huron, then you have to get the equivalent warlord trait here. So Cypher can never have a warlord trait, but these guys automatically get these ones. And the best one I think is Black Legion, which means that the Death to the False Emperor kicks in on a 5-up instead of a 6-up. So not only are you getting +2 command points with Abaddon, not only are you re-rolling everything when you're within 6 inches of Abaddon, because Abaddon gets this one automatically, first amongst traitors, but Death to the False Emperor, which is extra attacks, if you roll a 6, you get extra attacks. If you roll a 5-6, you get extra attacks for all units within 6 inches of your warlord. That's what Abaddon has. And again, you can give it to any other guy. If Abaddon isn't your warlord and you bring in Black Legion, then that's the warlord trait you get. I'm Alferis is exactly what you'd expect it to be. You can never really slay the warlord. Another one can pop up and you can pick another character when one dies to be your warlord. Emperor's Children, +1 to your warlord's attack characteristics. Iron Warriors automatically pass morale tests within 6 inches. Night Lords, Curse of the Night Hunter, the Night Haunter's Curse. The Night Haunter's Curse is a good one. Once per battle round, you can reroll a single hit, wound, damage, advance, charge, or saving throw made for your warlord. So basically, once around, every round, reroll a dice that you don't like the look of. Probably the save if he's getting shot at, or if he's shooting back and he's behind stuff and you've got blocking units in front so he can't be targeted, then you can re-roll a shot. I like it. This one only kicks in, World Eater Slaughterborn only kicks in every time he slays a character, monster, or Titanic model. So you actually have to kill something, but you get +1 to his attack and strength. So you kill a character or kill a model, you get +1 strength and attack. You do it again, you get +1 strength for attack. Reminds me very much of Angron's ability in Horus Heresy games. And the voice of Lorgar increases the aura of your warlord by 3 inches. That's pretty nice as well. That will be good. If you're not bringing a Legion, or if you want to pick one of these instead, because it says if you wish, you may pick one of these for your Legion. You could pick one of these instead, and you're probably going to pick Unholy Fortitude, which adds 1 to the wounds characteristics of your warlord, and on a 6-up, he doesn't lose a wound. That's going to be the auto go-to here. An extra wound. And then we're on to the points values. And that's it for the Chaos Space Marine Codex. So thank you very much for watching my review of Chaos Space Marines Codex. I hope you found some things in here interesting. I apologise one more time for being a novice when it comes to Chaos Space Marines. Most of my encounters with Chaos Space Marines is across the opposite side of the gaming table when I'm getting smashed by them. So most of the things I know about them I have learned by being an opponent, but there's still hopefully some useful information in here, hopefully that you've learned and stuff that you've seen. My overall impression is they've brought some of the flavour back. You didn't have this prior to that book that came out with all the Legion stuff in, right before the launch of 8th edition. You had the old Chaos Space Marine Codex, and it was a bit of a damp squid, and it had been a bit of a damp squid for Chaos players for a very long time. They were asking for flavour, they were asking for something different, they were asking for something new. And then you had the Angels of Death book for the Space Marines, and then the equivalent one for the Chaos Space Marines, and the name escapes me, but all of a sudden there was a lot of flavour back for Chaos Space Marines, and everyone went, yay. This is in here again, I think. You've got Legion-specific traits, you've got marks that mean something, you've got stratagems and relics that specifically apply to certain legions and certain legions only. You'll have Alpha Legion being sneaky in the backfield because of the -1 to hit, or popping up, Night Lords, for -1 to hit, or Alpha Legions popping right up in your flank. You have ways of making your army do what you want it to do. And ultimately, you have something better than the last Chaos Space Marine Codex. You needed the last Chaos Space Marine Codex, plus that additional book they brought out to add some real flavour to your stuff. Now you can just bring this book. Has it got as much flavour in it as you want it? Is it as unique as you want it to? Probably not. For those people who really want some extra flavour, you're going to need to get Thousand Suns, that Codex, when it comes out. You're going to need to get Death Guard when that comes out. I'm sure they'll act differently, because one of the things that we're going to get from those new books as well as new models. And there doesn't appear to be any new models in this book here, which is unfortunate. I would have assumed that they would have at least released a couple of new models. Some of the Chaos Space Marine range is looking a bit tired. But I think in the long run, we're going to see sub-faction codexes coming and more models coming out when those things launch. I mean, Death Guard are a sub-faction, so they are coming, and new models will be coming out with them as well, such as the Plague Hulk tank we've seen leaked online. In the meantime, you've got this, which is good. It's solid. Some very dirty spells in there, some very dirty combos. And I'm looking forward, from an opponent point of view, I'm looking forward to going up against Chaos Space Marines and seeing what sort of sauce they can put on the table, what sort of spice they can bring to the party. It's interesting. It's a thick book as well. It's much thicker than the Grey Knights book. It's not as thick as the Space Marine book, but then there are less unit entries in here than you would expect. So that's it. That's my review of Codex Chaos Space Marines. I hope you found that interesting. If you're interested in supporting me further, check out Winter's SEO on Demand. Thank you very much for watching, and happy wargaming.